Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Files Into the Darkness. I'm your host, Sean Wagner, and is with me, as always, my lovely co-host, the great Liz Jumper.
Hey, how are ya?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good, thank you.
I'm the director of Central Pennsylvania Investigators, which Liz is also a member, and a founder of the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective, the CARC. This show also is a super chat. So please feel free to give us a thumbs up and a share on Facebook, especially if you like what we have on and what we've had on, or thumbs up, subscribe, share on YouTube. Also on YouTube, hit the bell if you could, please, so that way you can be notified of our future broadcasts. And thank you. If you have any questions along the way, please put them in all capital letters. Our next show will be Thursday, May 12th. One of our guests will be Dave Schrader from the Holzer Files and his new podcast. Thank you, Brendan. Paranormal 60. May 26th, Katie Burr from Everyday Paranormal and Ghost Lab. June 9th, we'll have Mike Ricksecker on. We'll be talking about the Alaskan Triangle. That'll be something a little bit different versus the Bermuda, and shadow people as well. June 23rd, we have Rick McCallum on. He is an actor, stuntman, paranormal investigator, and also a member of the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. So that'll be different. How viewers out there, how are you guys doing? Feel free to put in the chat how you're doing. All right. All right, Liz, I guess we have a great guest tonight.
We sure do.
I guess it's about time we take and bring her on. Now time for the real introduction. She is a paranormal researcher and investigator for PRS, Paranormal Research Society from Penn State University. She was known for her work on A&E's Paranormal State. She was intrigued by the spiritualism movement, and the thrill of the unknown, investigating local haunted and abandoned locations in central PA. She's worked alongside even Lorraine Warren, and she's been on Travel Channel's Alien Highway, and she's guest starred on Portals to Hell, and she will be on CW's Mysteries Decoded. And currently, she is working on a documentary series as well with Katrina Weidman. Hey, Charlie. Hey, thank you, Jay Baxter, for joining us tonight. And she will star in Jad Kalick's upcoming series, also Harbingers of Doom. She has social media accounts at Tad with TADD with 2 Ds _, the word 2 _ the _ bone on Instagram, and Classic Tad TADD on Twitter. Her website is heathertaddy.com. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't guessed, our guest is Heather Taddy.
Hey!
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. It's always great to talk to fellow Central PAers.
Awesome. Yes, indeed.
So.
How are things going out now that you're out in Western PA?
Pretty good. Yeah, Pittsburgh's great. It's still really cold. Just a day ago, I got back from Los Angeles, so I was absorbed into those wonderful sunshine rays, and then I come back here and it's just constantly overcast. So, but it's good, you know.
That's Pennsylvania for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's how it goes. It's going to be cold the next couple of nights around here, and then it starts to warm up a little bit. And I'm looking forward to that.
Same here. Yeah, I'm going camping this weekend, so I'm probably going to freeze to death. But that's
well, hopefully you have more than a tent. Do you have more than a tent?
No, I'm sleeping in a tent.
Oh, well, at least have a warm sleeping bag. You should be
okay. I'll be okay.
It might be a little chilly. That's about it. And well, the thing that we always do on the show, it's time for the toast.
Oh, the toast.
Sorry, guys. I have Gatorade today.
Well, it's still a drink.
It still counts? All right.
Still counts.
It's the symbolism.
Electrolytes.
All right.
Absolutely. To all those people that work during the weekend, one more day to Friday.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Chin chin.
Awesome.
All right. How were your parents in the paranormal when you were growing up?
Oh, that's a good question. My mom has always been really scared of it, and she kind of doesn't want to believe it. My dad actually, he's very intrigued by the stories, and he has some stories himself from when he was younger, and just seeing UFOs. He's seen a couple UFOs. And funny enough, do you know the legend of the White Lady at Wapsie in Altoona? I think we may have.
I wish I did, but I don't.
It's the classic like story of the lady in her white dress and she's crossing the street. He claims to have seen that one time, and another car saw it, and then they just saw like the leftover dust of her like walking across the street. But yeah, they totally saw that. So but yeah, they're really supportive and intrigued by all of it, and they actually think it's really funny that I'm on TV doing it because, you know, I grew up making weird skits and just like going to haunted places and trying to like catch evidence. So I always had a video camera in my hand. And when I was really young, I did some like commercials and stuff like that for local like TV stations. So it's kind of no surprise to them that I work in TV, but they always get a kick out of it when they turn on the TV and they see me. They like send me pictures and stuff. So.
Well, that's awesome. And they definitely should. And you seem to do a great job on the shows as well.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I know in a broadcast you said you used a Ouija board growing up at times. Did you ever have any problems at all or not?
I never had any issues. Some scary experiences, but nothing too crazy. But what was funny is anytime I had the Ouija board in the back of my car, I would get pulled over for some odd reason, sometimes for no reason. And then as soon as the cop would see the Ouija board in my back seat, they would automatically go and share their stories with Ouija boards. So sometimes it was just so weird. Like I remember one time my cousin and I were driving into the cemetery. And of course I had my video camera and my Ouija board. And right as we're pulling in, this other cop meets us at the other end. Actually, like 3 cop cars came in, which is absurd because there's nothing happening there obviously is nothing happening in Altoona that 3 cop cars are going to catch some weird teenagers in a cemetery. But I'll never forget that. They pulled us over and, you know, we looked a little sketchy and weird. So of course they searched the car and they found the Ouija board and the video camera. And automatically we talked to them for like an hour about their with stories and haunted places. So weird situations like that. But nothing too insane.
All right.
So I know we always you remember Kevin would always like lecture us about stay away from that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I always also had that approach.
Yeah.
Although it's ironic, I did have a friend offer me a few bucks to Ouija board from me because I ended up, it's a long story. My mother had one of all people growing up. And she actually had the Parker Bros. True board game Ouija board. And I gave it to him. I was like, oh, that doesn't matter to me. Because I've done a couple investigations where people have had trouble with the Ouija board. Or at least it is one possible cause of their problem. It doesn't necessarily mean it was it and it caused all the problems. Because sometimes I'm not advocating use it, by the way, for people.
Right.
But other things can certainly bring it in too. It's not like and like was said in other places and other broadcasts, when you even just doing EVPs, you're reaching out and opening the door to something. So
that's true. All these are the same kind of forms of communication. It's just there's such a stigma around the Ouija board.
Right.
But I mean, I can understand it from both theories. you have the spiritualist theory, and then you have the automatism theory where you're actually subconsciously moving the planchette. So I don't know. It's always just been a really interesting tool for me. But it is, I mean, you can be considered the same thing as doing an EVP session with a digital recorder. You don't know what doors you're opening. You don't know what is going to happen. So it's all everything is a risk.
Right.
We don't, so, but it's just
that's true.
And you have like couple Ouija boards up on the wall, but beyond what we can see, right?
I do. Yeah. They're hanging up. One of them is the one I used to play growing up. And then the other one is just a brand new one that I got, someone gave me. So I have more somewhere. I think they're at my parents'.
How many do you think you have then?
Oh, not a lot. Maybe 5.
Well, that's
not too many.
That's still more than everybody I know. That's everybody I know combined. So that's good.
Just 5.
So you got to work with Lorraine Warren. What was that like?
Amazing. It's funny because before I joined PRS, I saw her lecture at Penn State, and I grew up reading about her and Ed's cases. They're obviously pioneers in this field, so it was really cool to see her speak. I was very captivated by her stories. And then literally the next year when I joined PRS and started filming for Paranormal State, I was traveling the country with her, which is just like mind-blowing. But it was amazing to hear her stories. She was super sweet. We called her our grandmother. But yeah, I mean, she would just be sitting there while we were waiting to do another scene and telling us these jaw-dropping stories about Amityville and, all the famous cases you hear about that are made into movies from their original cases. And it's just amazing. And she was really open. You could ask her any questions, and she was just so amazing. And I learned so much from her, and it was just a really surreal experience to just travel with her and get to know her.
Can you share a story with us by chance?
Oh, man. I mean, I remember this one time we were filming, and when any of our psychics would do a walkthrough, the people that weren't in the scene, the investigators that weren't in the scene with her, we would kind of hover around our surveillance cameras, and we would listen to what was happening and listen to the reading, because Lorraine would go to these locations and not know anything about what happened there. She would know what state she was going to, but really nothing else. And she would walk in and just pick up on all these historical facts that we had previously done research on that we knew were legit. And she would just walk into these rooms and be like, oh, he hung himself right here, and just tell us these things that there's no way she would have known. Like, her ability is so amazing. And to just be able to like sit there and see her catch these things, and you're like, you're trying to be quiet, but you're like, want to jump out of your seat because she's hitting on all these points. So that was probably one of my favorite things, was just watching her do her thing, because it was incredible.
Sounds great for certain there.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's so many more stories, but I can't pinpoint any exact one. But it was really cool. I remember we did these like events at haunted house attractions in Pennsylvania, and Lorraine would bring her group, and they would bring some of the more well-known haunted objects from the museum. So they would fill a room with all these artifacts, and you'd see the people that worked for her like walking up a narrow staircase, holding the giant glass case that Annabelle's in, wearing gloves and trying not to drop her down these steep steps. So it was really funny to like watch them carefully remove her from the box and just sit her in a corner, and just to be able to stand there and be like, this little cute Raggedy Ann doll has caused, so much craziness in people's lives. Like, it's just so bizarre. But yeah, those are some fond memories I have, is just, hearing her talk about these objects and the stories behind them.
That is awesome. I recently shared, they did a video which they were transferring that doll's, Annabelle's, home case to. They put her in they showed their ceremony pretty much for putting her into a temporary small case or enclosure, I guess you call it.
Yeah.
And there was a nice little ceremony involved with it. Quite interesting.
I'm sure there was.
Were you taking classes too when you were doing investigations for PRS?
Oh yeah, I was actually the last to graduate. So they had to kind of work around my schedule a lot because there were some finals that I couldn't miss. But, I studied film and media studies and French at Penn State. So a lot of my teachers were really understanding, and I'd just email and be like, hey, I'm going to this really haunted house this weekend. I'll be back Monday. And they're really cool. But I mean, most of the time, the first 2 years of filming for Paranormal State, I was still in college. So I was doing a lot of my homework on set. But yeah, I was the last to graduate out of everybody. I was the youngest of the group.
I was wondering, because that sounds like it would be difficult to keep up with the classwork a little bit.
It was. What's so bizarre? Like that first year of filming for Paranormal State, I had like the best grades that semester. I was on like the dean's list. And I think back, I'm like, wow, how did I do all that? Because so when I joined the club, I knew nothing about a TV show. I joined because I wanted to gain access to haunted locations, and I wanted to train to be a field investigator, because this just wasn't like a normal club at a college. This was like a really serious club, really serious students. You had to basically like write all these reports. It was a real serious training process. And that's what I admired about it, because I was like, wow, this is really serious. And I wanted to learn more about it. And I started training, and the classes had like a 75% dropout rate. And me, Katrina, and one other student were kind of the only ones that survived. Everybody kept dropping out because it was like adding another class onto your curriculum. It was really, I was studying for that more than my regular classes at times. But I was just so passionate about it that it was so fun to me, and I wanted to do it. But yeah, it was pretty intense.
Wow. Yeah, I actually went to the conference there in 2007.
Nice.
Yeah, great. That was the year they premiered Paranormal State.
Yeah. So you did you go to the premiere?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
I went to the dinner and also the skits. I saw the skits.
Oh, you saw the Ghost Hunter skit.
That was an awesome skit. Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Gosh, that's so funny. So Katrina's mom created that. Ghost Hunter.
I knew it was one of the ladies' mother. I wasn't sure which one though.
Yeah, and I remember we had like little dancing parts in it, but that was so fun because I remember Jay and Grant were there in the front table, and we're all just like basically making fun of the show. It was funny. They had a good sense of humor about it, but that's so cool. So the first UNIVCon I attended was 2006. And for those of you that don't know what UNIVCon is, it was at that time, it was like the largest academic paranormal conference. We threw it at Penn State. It was huge. Lorraine Warren would come and speak. Lloyd Auerbach would come and speak. The Lutzes that owned the Amityville house, John Keel, so many like important figures in paranormal cryptozoology, like Josh Gates was there, Michelle Belanger, Chip Coffey. So we got to meet a lot of really great people that later became guests on our show, but it was a huge conference, like huge. And when I first joined PRS, that's how I actually found out about the club. I was studying for a French test, and I went up to this table, and there was an open copy of like the daily school. It was like the daily collegiate newspaper for State College, and it highlighted this huge conference. And I kept the article, and I was like, next year when I transfer up to the main campus, I'm definitely going to join. So, yeah, I mean, it was a huge deal, and that's so cool that you got to attend it. What did you think of it?
I thought it was great. I saw lectures from Patty Starr lectured on how to make it as a living. She did tours in Bardstown, Kentucky, at the Heaven Hill Distillery. I know that because my job at the time, or just before that, actually. And also Chris Fleming, I saw him as well.
Yep.
We did a couple of his lectures. Dave Schrader, I didn't think I took a lecture at his. All kinds of big names were there. It was amazing how many big names were there.
I know, and Ryan it was amazing the ability he had to just put that on, like being a college student and put on a conference that huge. And it was cool because it just wasn't a regular conference. It was very academically oriented, because we wanted to teach and educate people about parapsychology, famous cases. So it was a really cool thing to be a part of. And, I have all these old booklets saved, and sometimes I go back to them and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I helped run that and everything. So yeah, it was a blast to be a part of that.
That's awesome. Can you tell us where you helped out a little bit by chance? What did you do?
You mean where I helped out at what I did at the conference?
Yeah, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember handing pamphlets to people when they would walk in, and then I got to pick which lectures I wanted to go to. I feel like I remember I did a little bit of office work, but I can't remember exactly what I did. I just remember leaving my classes and rushing to the auditorium to hold the door open for people and give them pamphlets. And then it was just really cool to you grow up reading about these people that do all this research and the paranormal, and then you get to hang out with them and meet them. It was as a young college student to be a part of that. It was really, really great.
I can imagine. Sounds like it would have been great.
Yeah. And when we premiered Paranormal State at Penn State, we were in Schwab Auditorium, which is supposed to be haunted. That's where the group started some of their first investigations. So that was pretty neat too.
Yeah, that was a beautiful auditorium. That's actually the place that I was set to investigate the one night.
Oh, okay.
Schwab Auditorium with Patrick Burns as well.
Oh, Patrick, yeah. Oh, man.
He hopefully will be a future guest. He said yes. I just don't have him locked down with a date.
Oh my gosh, I haven't talked to him. Last time I saw him, we were at an event in Alabama, and we actually went to Sloss Furnace and hung out there. So it's been a really long time since I've seen him.
Well, we have a moment with Heather and Katrina when they were at the Shanley Hotel as well during one of the filming of Paranormal State. Brendan, can you go ahead and air that if you could, please?
Go.
Come and play with me, Danny.
Oh. I can't believe you found that. Yeah, so we did so in Paranormal State, we did these really fun events. We called them PRS field trips, and we would have these fun VIP dinners. We'd have costume parties and ghost hunts, and we would go back to oftentimes to locations we filmed or famous haunted locations. So that year was Halloween. We went to the Stanley Hotel, and I had this brilliant idea. I was like, Katrina, we have to dress up as the Grady twins. Why wouldn't we? We're going to the Stanley. So I went to Goodwill and I found these two similar dresses, and I remember sewing and gluing all this lace to them and ribbons to make them, replicas of their dresses. And then we went in that exact hallway, and it's really funny because there were regular people staying in some of the rooms, and I remember we really scared the crap out of people. Just like that. So that was a really fun memory.
Sounds like it would have certainly been awesome. Yeah, you actually are also big on Crash. You've made a lot of costumes over the years, and you made the costumes for you and Katrina on that particular filming, right?
Right. Yeah. I love Halloween, and every year for as long as I can remember, I've always just created a crazy costume. I've always been really crafty and creative, and I feel like you can make anything from cardboard or chicken wire, paper mache. I've always been very resourceful when it comes to making crazy things. So, yeah.
And we do have some pictures as well.
Yes.
Awesome.
It looks like we have a question too, if Brendan wants to put that up.
All right. Let's.
Maybe.
Oh, Baxter. Hey. What location?
Go ahead.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
What location have you investigated? Sorry, it stands out to you. Sorry about that.
Wow. I have quite a list. One that really stands out to me, starting out in this field, besides being a teenager, when I got into PRS, I investigated a lot of really private residential homes. So there's a lot of those cases that stand out, but one that's more recent, actually, no, I'll talk about one from Paranormal State. We investigated a haunted sex dungeon in Detroit. And this place was beautiful. It literally looked like a dungeon. And the owner rented it out, and his former tenants ran a sex club in the basement, which the basement looked like a dungeon. House was beautiful. It was connected to like a boat well, really massive mansion. And I don't know what the situation was with the tenants, but they left, but they left all their stuff behind. And they had these lockers with all this weird stuff. They had like a wheel that you spun, and all this weird like sex club paraphernalia was still in this house. And this guy had all these different things that would happen. And that was probably the weirdest, I'd have to say, the weirdest location I've ever investigated. A haunted sex dungeon. Not many people can say that they did that in their life, but I can.
Sean, you and I, didn't we go to a haunted strip club once? Were you with us for that one?
I wasn't part of the group really at that time. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
Was that in Wisconsin?
No, it was in Pennsylvania. I don't remember. It's like on the way to Harrisburg.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was up 147, somewhere along 147.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I don't know. I never know where I am.
Okay. I thought it was north of Northumberland or some around Northumberland in Northumberland County, but I could be wrong on that. But it was not nearly as cool as what you described, though, Heather. It was really kind of gross.
Well, I'll never forget. It was just so odd because the very the closing scene of the whole episode was the owner carrying all this stuff out to his trash, and it was just like so odd that he kept it there, like one of those big, I don't remember what they call it, but one of those big crosses that people stand on and tie their hands to. It's literally him like carrying this out to his trash cans, and I'll never ever forget that image. Just so weird.
I guess I'm the only one unlucky enough to have never done anything, investigate anything associated with sex.
But another thing I could add is more recently, I investigated a haunted hot dog shop in Ohio. It was very fascinating. There were like apartments above it. And I guess recently a man had died. I don't remember how he died, but they didn't find him for quite a while. And he worked at the hot dog shop, and they definitely felt that like he was haunting the location because he was very tied to that location. So that was another pretty recent one that I investigated like last month. That was just a weird, like a hot dog shop. It's just so weird.
That is kind of strange.
Yeah.
Again, a reminder for those just tuning in, we're talking with Heather Taddy. She was on Paranormal State, Inland Highway, and Portals to Hell. Also, the show is a super chat. If you like what we're putting out there on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and also hit the bell so you can be notified of future broadcasts. If you really like what we're doing on the show and what we've done in the past, consider hitting the $sign. Thank you. That would really help us out. That money goes towards doing investigations and expeditions. On Facebook, hit the like and share. That would help us out as well. I was a little bit different investigative. Any where you've done one where the clients had some kind of mental issues and possibly unknowingly projected the haunts?
Totally.
Lately?
Yeah. Yeah. With PRS, we definitely applied like psychological knowledge to like both the field work and our investigation. And a lot of times there were very natural things that occurred that people kind of attributed to being paranormal. But yeah, I mean, we did this one episode on Paranormal State where this woman, she was going through menopause and she was actually projecting the energy that was causing the phenomena. And she moved into this new house with a lot of negative energy from a previous experience in like a really bad neighborhood with her daughter. So she was actually projecting this, and she was obviously very emotional, and she was psychokinetically like they would report these like small balls of potpourri would just fly across the room. And we actually had it happen. We were there. And but yeah, we came to the conclusion that it was that built up energy was causing the haunting. Because, and oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm sorry. Any idea how would you determine that in an investigation, may I ask?
I mean, when we did cases, we went through very extensive hours and hours of interviews. And there's a lot of like really personal questions you have to ask. Because a lot of times if people are experiencing something very, very stressful, they can actually project that and it could cause a haunting. People going through grief and depression, if you go through that long enough, and it can actually cause you to hallucinate. So we would just, you just got to know the right questions to ask. You have to be around the people, really notice like just how they live their lives. And we found that out. And she was just very emotional during the whole episode. And a lot of the activity we could explain. So that's a really memorable one when it comes to something natural. And then another episode I remember was we went to this woman's house, and her house was built on top of mines. And she would report headaches. She would wake up and think she saw like shadows. Basically, all the symptoms she had were symptoms of carbon monoxide, like poisoning. So we brought in someone to check, her furnace, and it was like so much electromagnetic energy was like being pumped through her house. It was actually causing her to like go to the like she actually went to the hospital when we were there because it was so bad. And every one of our investigators experienced it. It feels like a heavy pressure on your brain, and we were feeling sick. We were feeling nauseous. So all of that was explained away because of a natural thing occurring in her home.
Great work. Hey, Jim, how are you? Jim's a big fan of yours. He's the one who recommended me to actually get a hold of you, in fact. So,
oh, really? Jim?
Yep. JT Errol is Jim Thorpe.
Oh, nice. Okay. Hi, Jim. Thanks for the recommendation.
He's my tech manager on the group as well.
Oh, great.
He's a great guy. I'm glad you're tuning in, Jim, as well. Now we'll get back to the regular stuff now. What was you've also done Pennhurst a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
At least a couple times.
Yeah.
Any memorable moment or the king there?
Other than being, I didn't encounter the king. Other than being completely terrified. I mean, if you look at like the history about that place, the overcrowding, the neglect, the abuse, many people who had developmental disabilities were just kind of, their families just dropped them off at this place. So a lot of them, this was their only home. So it when you think about all that history and you're actually there, it's terrifying. It's really sad. And that place is extremely active. The first time I went there with Katrina, and we did an event with Debbie and Mark Constantino. And they of course are, they were EVP specialists. And I remember there's still a lot of abandoned buildings there. And I remember putting a recorder into an abandoned building for like 2 minutes and playing it back, and you got voices and you heard sounds, and there's nothing happening. So when I was there just recently, well, I was on the episode of Portals to Hell there, and I was just in the investigation part of the episode. So I kind of had a lot of free time to roam around in the Mayflower building, which is one of the more haunted buildings on the property. And I remember being on the second or third floor, and I'm just roaming around by myself. I have my recorder. I'm just, asking some questions and just passing through it. I'm going through, there's a couple floors that have little sectional walls where they would put like 6 to 7 beds in this one small area. And I'm walking, and before I go into any location, I take my time and I just stand there and listen for natural sounds so I can kind of rule that out. And I just feel the place out. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I hear like, it sounded like someone's feet like shuffling towards me, and like they were walking in a weird way. And right away you hear me on the recording go, I like pause mid-sentence. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back down the stairs now. It sounded so real. And so many experiences like that there. I've got some EVPs there. It's a really terrifying place. But I remember when I went for Portals, we had a lot of REM pod activity we couldn't explain. Nothing in the vicinity that would set off a REM pod in the Devon building, which is one of the more haunted buildings as well. So yeah, that place it's like its own world.
I can imagine. I was fortunate to do the Mayflower. I tried to schedule another trip there actually this summer and get people together and see if they want to go and do more of it. Because now Devon's open as well as the tunnels. Because years ago when I was there, it was only Mayflower.
Yeah. The tunnels. I was just there last summer and I went through the tunnels. It's so creepy. That's one place that people ask me, what's the creepiest place? I mean, considering the history there and the experiences I've had, I'd definitely say Pennhurst.
Liz, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm supposed to ask you about Camp Shawnee and learning to drive an RV.
Lake Shawnee. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that was a really fun episode. And I remember I got to the hotel. The location was in Princeton, West Virginia. And I remember getting to the hotel and production being like, so we're going to have you and Jack stay in your own RVs on the property and you're going to camp the whole weekend. And I remember them being like, have you ever driven a 30-foot RV? And I'm thinking, no. I mean, I've driven like U-Hauls and things like that, but nothing to that extent. So one of the production guys, we practiced in this small parking lot of our hotel. And I remember going out onto the road, like onto the highway for the first time and just remembering like to drive it so slow because you could feel the wind like moving it. But I did really well considering the fact that I had to drive down these windy West Virginia mountains while being filmed, while talking to Jack on the phone and talking about the case. So that was fun. But the whole time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's like a line of cars behind me thinking, what is this girl doing? And then I look over and there's like this little barrier and then the side of a cliff. But I made it. And I'm damn proud of myself for doing that.
I thought that was impressive. So when I watched the episode, knowing what I knew of that you had to learn how to drive it, you're there driving it and talking with Jack and everything. I mean,
that was my third time driving it. So yeah, I did pretty good. And I remember thinking, like feeling like I was just this little like action figure, like this little doll driving this gigantic car, but I did well.
All right. Well, we're going to move along a little bit. And how was Alien Highway working with Chuck Zukowski?
Oh, Alien Highway was a blast. Probably one of the most, I've had the most fun on that series by far. But yeah, Chuck Zukowski's pretty great. There's a, for those of you who don't know, there's a book called The 37th Parallel that's based off of his life. And it's based off of his theory that a lot of this activity occurs on the 37th parallel, the lower half of the U.S. I actually have his book right here. Really interesting book. So that show was based off of, his adventures and his theories. And it actually has, you probably can't see this, but there's a picture here. This is kind of through his research. It's where all the Native American burial sites are. It's where the underground military bunkers are. It's where a lot of people have had these UFO experiences, and it's where all the cattle mutilations line up. So the book's really great. And I remember reading about him, and he's a very seasoned investigator. He is basically the lead guy people go to for cattle mutilations, because all over the Midwest, the ranchers have these insane experiences where their cattle get mutilated in these very bizarre ways, where there's surgical incisions, and the cows are sometimes moved from point A to point B, like they were lifted up and moved. There's never any blood. There's no signs of struggle. The way that the organs are taken out is very odd. There's just a lot of really odd similarities, and he's the main guy for that. So I remember reading about him when I was asked to do the show, thinking, wow, this is like really cool. Like this is definitely going to be an adventure. So it was fun. And it was a little change for me going to all these, places across the US that are known for this type of activity, versus being, in someone's basement looking for things. But there's a lot of, I found that there are some correlations between, ghost investigations and UFOs. I think that there's some kind of correlation with it all, which is like a whole other theory to explore. But yeah, I mean, it was a super fun show to work on. The crew was great. what was really exciting for me is a lot of the story editors on that show were also the story editors throughout Paranormal State. So a lot of these people, we would go to the production offices and, you know, I'd walk through the editing bays and just see people editing the footage and pop in, and they would know who I was from editing all the years of me in college doing these investigations. It was really cool to like finally meet the people that like made Paranormal State look so good.
Sounds great.
Sorry, I rambled a little too much on that.
No, this show is for you. You are the guest of honor, so that's what I want you to do. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. That's what you're going to know the best and everything as well. So, what do you think had the best chance of being actual alien evidence and everything?
You mean which episode or
locations and episode? Yeah.
I thought that Sedona was really fascinating because people have been experiencing things for a long time there, and we explored the theory of, you know, relating the vortexes, like the energy. Are these vortexes where these ley lines intersect, creating this energy that's attracting the phenomena? Is there something geophysical with the red rocks? Kind of putting all that together, like, is there electromagnetic energy? That was like a really fascinating episode for me. And I feel like a lot of the things we saw in that episode, we got some great evidence where I remember at one point we saw this, it was like a reddish light. It looked just like a planet. It was right above this mountain, this ridge line. We knew where the flight patterns were, so we could kind of rule that out. And everybody saw it. And then all of a sudden it just disappeared. No cloud coverage, nothing. And we all saw it. And that's one memory I have from that episode. But yeah, Sedona is a really interesting place for that kind of phenomena.
Did you ever make it to Catalina Island and like looking for like underwater bases and stuff like that?
So I had an event. I think it was supposed to happen in 2020 with my friend Chad Kalick, and we were going to go to Catalina Island and have an event there, and it got canceled because of COVID. So I never got to actually go to Catalina Island, but we did an episode on Alien Highway called SoCal Clusters, where we, you know, explored the coast of Southern California because it's been a hot spot for sightings where people have seen crafts go in and out of the ocean for a very long time. You know, there's this theory that off the coast of Malibu, if you look on Google Earth, there's like this anomaly that looks like it's a underground base or something. So, I mean, that's been a big theory for a long time that, you know, out of all the places in the world, the oceans could be hiding ships or something. You know, we don't know, but it's a very interesting theory to explore. So while we were there, we also kind of explored the connection of, obviously, at the coast of Southern California, there's a ton of military bases. So we explored that theory that is there a connection with the military looking for these objects, or are these unknown objects attracted to these naval bases, and are they actually watching our military?
Definitely, there could be a correlation.
Yeah.
And also, we'll keep moving on here. Also, with Katrina, you have a project going right now that's airing Katrina's YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Katrina Weidman. Brendan, can you go ahead and play the clip off, if you could, please?
I want to go to this place to investigate, and I was hoping you'd be interested in going with me.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Heather and I are best friends. We met doing this stuff in college. So I'm going to take you to a really scary location.
Is that it? Nuh-uh, really?
Yeah.
It might be time to move up to the third floor. I don't want to do it.
All of the pieces seem like there might have been a murder that happened there.
It's like blood. And I don't know why, I just all of a sudden, I just feel frustrated.
And nothing like that's ever happened.
Yeah. Did you hear it say Heather?
If that's real, that's like the best photographic evidence I've ever seen.
I do this all the time, and I swear to God, you still get scared doing it.
Yeah, Travel the Dead.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a great series you have coming up.
Thank you. Yeah, so we had to kind of split up each episode into like 10 to 12 minute segments, which is kind of funny because a lot of people were like, that's too short. But we really leave people on the edge at the end, so they have to tune in next week. But there's a reason we had to kind of make them short, kind of beyond our control. But yeah, the first segment is viewable on Katrina's YouTube page, and it was really fun to just do this ourselves without any networks, without any involvement from that production aspect. We did it ourselves with our friend Kat Croft. She's a filmmaker, and it was really just the three of us going into haunted locations during the pandemic and just trying to figure out what's going on. Using our techniques, we were, because Katrina and I have the same training, and we're best friends. We've been best friends since we met, in PRS. So it's just kind of like a glimpse into our friendship and the way we investigate. And I think people will really like it, and we also brought back our dear friend Michelle Belanger for a couple episodes, and she does some remote readings, which are incredible. But yeah, I think people will really dig it, and it's all going to be on Katrina's YouTube channel.
Yeah. Liz, you have something to add by chance?
So I hear you also have. Oh, sorry. What'd you say, Sean?
Oh, I was saying if you had something to add, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to ask you about your upcoming project on the CW, Mysteries Decoded.
Yeah, so I'm not sure when
it's. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I can't really say much. I don't even know if I'm probably not even supposed to tell people I was on it, but the season premieres in July, and I guest starred on one episode. There's of course an alien theme, but it was a super fun show to be a part of, and I think visually it's going to look amazing with the location we went to. But if people just keep their eye on my social media, once I know the release date, I can kind of let it out there into the world. But I think people will really dig it. It was a really fun show to work on.
Okay. Well, we can't wait to see it.
Thanks.
Definitely can't wait. I also wanted to get into a little bit of you versus the real Heather Taddy versus the TV personality. What are your hobbies outside of investigating things?
Oh my goodness, I have so many hobbies. I'm a musician. I grew up playing the violin, and then when I was about 14 or 15, I heard this band called Jane's Addiction, and they have very memorable bass riffs. And upon hearing their music at a very young age, I've always been obsessed with them. I picked up a bass, and that's been my main instrument ever since. So I love music. I love vintage clothing. I do a little bit of sewing here and there. I love reading. I love traveling. I love hiking, going to national parks and doing these intense hikes. I love being outside in the woods. Oh gosh, what else? Yeah, basically music. I love film. I love photography, documenting everything, anything of my life, about my life, because I've realized I've had a very interesting life. So I like to document that as much as possible because people seem to be very, very, very fascinated by the things I do. So I do have a lot of hobbies. I
think we actually have a clip of you playing in the band.
Cool. Great.
Yep.
Video store. This song's about a video store. Yeah. Maybe Blockbuster, maybe not.
Hollywood video.
Hollywood video, yeah. Network video.
West Coast.
Everybody shout out your local video stores.
Yeah.
We only had two, right? Heads together.
Hey.
That's
All right.
Very nice.
So funny.
That was great, Heather.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Singing about a video store.
And that was part of your band Mannequin, correct?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I started that band over COVID pretty much with those guys. And that's all we did was play music. So we got to become really tight with our songs.
I think we also have another picture or video as well.
No,
I'm not sure if we have any more videos.
I'm afraid to see what it is.
We just got them off of your Instagram pretty much.
Oh, okay. Good. Good.
It's not going to be, or YouTube, nothing. Do we have anything else or not? I thought we had at least pictures. There we go.
Oh, me dressed up as Gwen Stefani.
Very nice, by the way. Very good.
Thank you. So I basically found a red dress and then I glued all this vinyl to it because she wore a dress very similar to that on the Tragic Kingdom album. But yeah, she was really impressed when I met her. And it's funny because that real dress was stolen from a museum in Orange County. And as soon as I walked in the room to meet her, her first words were to me, smiling, and she's like, "So you're the one that stole the dress from the museum?" And I was like, "Oh no, if you look at it really closely, it's actually really bad. I just kind of sewed and glued vinyl to this dress." And then the next 5 minutes seemed like an eternity, but she's just standing there staring at me up and down. And she's like, "Wow, you did a really good job. I'm really impressed. Thanks for dressing up." And so that was like a highlight of my life, was meeting her, because I've always been such a huge fan.
Who were your musical influences, by the way?
Oh my gosh, so many. Sonic Youth, Alice in Chains, Jane's Addiction, Soundgarden, Talking Heads, the B-52s. If I could be in a band like the B-52s, I think my life would be complete.
They're actually doing their last tour.
Yeah, it's my ultimate dream. I saw that. I'm going to try to go to one of the shows. Unfortunately, they aren't coming to PA, but I saw them one time a long time ago, and it was an amazing show. There's no other band like the B-52s.
They are great.
One of a kind.
Do we have any more pictures of costume pictures?
That's my Sun-Made Raisin costume.
It was great.
Thank you. I made, if you look very closely at the tray, I made little replicas of giant raisins because I thought it would be really funny to just carry raisins around. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that one.
They all look really good, actually.
Thank you. I think that food mascots are pretty funny, and no one really ever thinks of food mascots when it comes to Halloween.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's something I would have never thought of.
Yeah, I have to really brainstorm about what to dress up this year as. Kind of running out of food mascots here.
Yeah, you did. You also did. I don't think we have the picture, but you also did the Planter's Peanut as well.
I sure did. Yeah, that one was a hit. Yeah, that one was a hit.
And what about the records behind you?
Oh, these are just old 45s that I have this collection of just all these old, not necessarily records I like, but I used to do a lot of crafting where I would put records in the oven and melt them and shape them into bowls or little things I could hang jewelry from. So I used to make a lot of stuff like that and sell it at events. But yeah, I just think it's cool to use, forms of old media to decorate, like cassettes and things like that.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Well, we have some of your upcoming appearances. I think I got one that wasn't on your website, so let me know if that's correct or incorrect.
Okay.
As we go along here. May 20th to the 22nd, you'll be at Parasicon in Mansfield, Ohio.
I will.
June 25th, Hillview Manor, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. August 13th, West Virginia State Penitentiary in Moundsville. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. I don't think that event has been announced yet, but I'm definitely going to be there. And I did it last year, and it was a really fun event.
Well, any event at Moundsville it's got to be good.
Yeah, you guys should come. We can do I think last time we did an overnight investigation, and I didn't serve. I think I bailed out at 3 a.m. But you guys should come.
Well, I will have to get a hold of my people and and see if we could possibly do that. Liz, would you be interested in a trip to Moundsville?
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because there aren't many better prisons than that. That's for sure.
So what do you do at these events? And how can somebody book you for an event?
So most of the events, I'll have a table set up I have a lot of weird stuff that I sell, and I have headshots, and I'll just talk to people. I like to talk to everybody. And usually we'll do most events do like a little VIP dinner, or they do some kind of like charity event, and then we'll do a ghost hunt. So I just love hanging out with people from all over the country and just kind of hearing their stories and meeting people that actually watch, have followed my adventures. So I always meet amazing people at these events. How to book me for an event? Honestly, just reach out to me directly. That's probably the easiest way. Okay. I do work with a couple booking people, but get a hold of me through my website, through social media. Just get in touch with me and I'll be there.
All right.
That sounds like you seem very personable. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
And I have one more event, September 17th and 18th, Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
So sadly, I'm not going to do that because I got asked to do a different event. There's another event I'm doing in Ohio, which I don't have a lot of information for yet, but I'll be doing that instead of Mothman.
They can follow you on your Instagram or I forgot the other one, Twitter account.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my Facebook got hacked in 2020 and I have not been able to get it back. So I lost touch with a lot of people, sadly. But I had to make a new Instagram because my old Instagram was connected to it. So you won't find me on Facebook.
Are you thinking about starting on a Facebook account in the future?
No, because I feel like I'm so angry that I haven't been able to get my account back. I'm just like, I don't need Facebook. I should though. I should. It's just I'm still mad about it.
Actually, that's where I first tried to find you at as well. Actually, was on Facebook of all places.
Yeah, I should probably just make another account, but oh well.
All right. Well, we are about out of time, and I want to thank our guest, paranormal researcher and investigator Heather Taddy. She has social media accounts at Tad, TADD _ the word 2 TO _ bone on Instagram, and also Classic Tad, TADD on Twitter. Her upcoming appearances include May 20th and 22nd at Parapsychon in Mansfield, Ohio, June 25th, Hillview Manor, Newcastle, PA, August 13th, West Virginia State Penitentiary, Moundsville, and September 17th and 18th, she'll be in Ohio for an event. Her website is heathertaddy.com. If you like the broadcast, consider helping us out by liking and sharing. Thank you to everyone for tuning in and watching on Facebook, or giving a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and sharing on YouTube. Thank you. We appreciate all of you, and thank you for following us. Our next broadcast will be Thursday, May 12th, when our guest will be Dave Schrader from the Holzer Files and his new podcast, Paranormal 60. May 26th, yeah, he's a great guest. May 26th, we'll have on Katie Burr from Everyday Paranormal and Ghost Lab. June 9th, Mike Ricksecker. He will talk about the Alaskan Triangle and shadow people. June 23rd, Rick McCallum. He's an actor, stuntman, paranormal investigator, and one of the members of the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. Liz, anything to add by chance?
Heather, you have been absolutely delightful, and I cannot wait to follow more of your adventures, and I hope we see you again soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was a good chat.
Thank you. Heather, please hang on through the outro to the backstage. Do you have anything to add, by the way, Heather?
No, I don't think. I think I covered a lot. I think, yeah.
All right.
I'm good.
And Brendan, go ahead. Oh, Brendan, go ahead and take us out.
Hey, this is Chuck Larson. You're watching the CARC channel on YouTube.
You've been watching Paranormal Files Into the Darkness, a Catskill Appalachian Research Collective production. For more information on this program and others like it, remember to like, share, and subscribe to CARC Universal today. To join the conversation on our Facebook group, become a member of the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective Facebook group. CARC. relentless.